Hello friends, this is Krishna Mylvaganam. I've decided to start up a Facebook page and a YouTube channel called The Knowledge Disruption to disrupt and revolutionize the beliefs of the knowledge economy.
Mr. Krishna Mylvaganam is an innovative senior marketing professional with broad B2B and B2C experience. He is presently employed as the Chief Operating Officer for a leading private higher education establishment, as well as a senior management consultant for a variety of businesses within the Sri Lankan education sector. He holds a bachelor's degree in business administration from London Metropolitan University, where he graduated with honors. He also holds an MSc in Human Resource Development from University of Portsmouth and an MBA from University of Chichester. Currently, he is also a final year doctoral candidate at University of Wales Trinity St. David, as well as a research student at University of Oxford. He is also a graduate member of various international professional bodies. This includes the Association of Business Executives, the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, the Cambridge Association of Entrepreneurs, the Certified Management Accountants, and the Association of Accounting Technicians. In addition, he is also an active member of Chartered Institute of Marketing and the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. His contributions to various organizations' success is not just limited to its marketing and operational success, but also towards its academic excellence. He is also a research scholar and a senior lecturer for various MBA and PhD programs.
So the purpose for me to do this knowledge disruption initiative is that I feel that I can support a lot of PhD learners with regard to sharing my knowledge. I intend to share short videos, clear, simple videos which would assist a lot of PhD researchers to get through their PhD program successfully. The reason I've thought about this initiative is that, see, if you think about it, these PhD researchers who are basically these critical thinkers, there are different perspectives about a particular research topic. Is what is supporting all these organizations, multinational corporations, universities, nations to thrive successfully. I have noticed a lot of global international universities coming into Sri Lanka to run the PhD programs here, but unfortunately it has not done really well. For example, I knew a British university which came into Sri Lanka 5 years ago, somewhere 2015, and they had about 200 students enroll onto their doctoral program. But currently, if I look at the program, only about 20-25 students are pushing to obtain their doctor title. But then, strangely, if you look at the same program has been run in London, and there were about 300 students at this delivery center in London, and I was told by my professor that about 90% of these 300 students are looking at obtaining their doctor title. So seeing the lack of critical thinking skill set and seeing how these quality PhD programs failing in Sri Lanka, I thought I could contribute because this is one of my areas of expertise. And I do know that if you take the Asian context, we have very strong cultural beliefs and we have very good religious values, but I don't feel that the prominence that we are giving to our hearts, we should start giving to heads as well, because this is a very clear evidence that I have noticed through my observation that our lack of critical thinking skills is very much apparent when I look at this particular case. So what I've decided to do through this initiative is that I'm going to create very simple, clear videos focusing on different components of a PhD research, and I'm going to reinterpret the complexities and the complications that are there on a PhD learning experience for the learner, and I'm going to make it as simple as possible. Bottom line, what I'm trying to do is that I want to eliminate this belief that PhD means permanent head damage. It is not. It is not even closer to that. It's a very simple journey. I feel it has been complex and complicated for no good reasons, and it has registered onto the learner's head as something very difficult to achieve in their lifetime. So therefore, if you could commit one single quality hour every single day for the next 3 years, I can guarantee you that you don't just obtain one PhD, you can even develop the capability of doing a double PhD program within a period of 3 years. Why I'm saying this is that if you take a doctoral program, the main essence of the doctoral program is the research design. So once you master the research design, you can very well select one topic on the area of marketing, you can select one topic on the area of accounting, finance, psychology, education, any research topic, and you can apply your expert knowledge onto these topics, and you can successfully complete a 2 PhD program, even whatever in the area that you prefer. Now, I'm sure based on what I'm saying, there are naysayers who might think that there's not enough substance, there's not enough content in what I'm saying, because I know a lot of people who are struggling to complete their PhD program for over 5 years even. I want to tell you that compared to the human commitment, this quality 1 hour I'm talking about, these complications, these complexities are nothing, and you can easily get through these programs. So my purpose of this knowledge disruption is that I'm gonna clearly put out this message, and I'm going to share the videos which is going to walk the talk. So if there are any naysayers who think this is not possible, I want you all to rewind back and look at the profile of mine, so that you'll be having the confidence that it is very much possible. So this is all being said, I just want you all to know that I'm not going to utilize this digital platform just to support the PhD learners. I'm also going to look at what are the contemporary knowledge needs, and if it coincide with one of my areas of expertise, I'm also going to share those videos as well. For example, innovation is one of my expert area of research, so probably I feel I can share a lot on that line. And strategic leadership, I think I hope everyone would agree we need good quality leaders with strategic thinking skills. Let it be to manage a family successfully, let it be to manage a company successfully, let it be to manage even a nation successfully. We need strategic thinking leaders. So that's another area of my expertise. And then how do you transform an organization which is not performing well into a better performing organization? How do you transform an industry which is not doing really well into an industry which can generate a better financial value capture? And another key area of my expertise is sustainable competitive advantage. 21st century is all about competition. So how do you sustain successfully obtaining successfully with sufficient competitive advantage? So I intend to share these videos as well, because I engage in a lot of teaching programs, a lot of lecture sessions. I lecture PhD students. I'm also finally a PhD student, and I do a lot of I take part in research symposiums, and currently I'm also trying to learn film direction. I'm trying to master the art of making films, so probably in near future I can release short films which are thought-provoking and which could be useful for a lot of aspiring learners. Alright, so let me give you a taste of what I intend to do for the immediate next 6 months. My short-term vision is that I'm gonna take this PhD program, the doctorate program, and break them into smaller components, because when you put all of them together, obviously it looks complex and complicated. So I'm gonna break them into smaller components, and each component I'm gonna release videos to enhance the clarity of the aspiring researchers. Now, I can imagine if you ask me to break the PhD program into a number of components, I will probably break them into 12 or 15 components, starting off with, let's say, I give the most prominence to the research problem. Only if you have a sound research problem, you can come up with the effective solution to it. So your critical input will be much effective depending on how sound your research problem is. So there are various techniques and tips for you to identify how to come up with a very effective research problem. For example, if you look at these peer-reviewed journal articles, on the final pages they always point out the future research directions for the aspiring researchers. And also there are ways to identify research gaps on the area that you have chosen to do your doctoral study, and then you can look at what are the research limitations that were there by the previous researchers. So you can look at the limitations of it, and you can take that component as your area of study. Apart from that, then you have the topic selection. So I always select my research problem before I go into the topic, because based on your research problem, you select your topic. It is much convenience. And then how do you decide on your conceptual framework? In a conceptual model, there are certain types of variables called independent variables, dependent variables, mediating variables, moderating variables. How do you identify these variables in relation to your research topic? How do you draft your research hypothesis? How do you write a sound literature critique? Now, I see a lot of learners, let it be postgraduate level, undergraduate level, doctoral level. The learner's mindset is that majority of them is that they feel that if they extensively refer about previous authors' work onto their literature critique, they will get an A grade. That's not the case. Literature critique, it consists about 50% of your research project. So you need to know what is a sound literature critique. A sound literature critique contains interpretive writing, it contains critical evaluation. So these are the areas that will obtain you a high mark. So writing a sound literature critique, it's a broad area, so I intend to provide some videos on that line as well. And then how do you what are the different ways and techniques that are there for you to collect data? What are the different techniques you can apply to analyze your data? See, when it comes to quantitative data analysis, there's something called univariate analysis, bivariate analysis, and multivariate analysis. So it's essential when you do a doctoral study, you apply these 3 different type of analysis on your data analysis chapter of your project. And then how do you conduct an ethical doctoral research study? Now, when you perform a research study, it's very important that you avoid risks to yourself, to the researcher, you avoid risk to the university where you're reading your program, and also you need to ensure that there are no harm or risk to the respondents from whom you are collecting the data. And there are also other significant components like how do you develop your measuring instruments. These are basically your questionnaires and interview schedules. How do you make sure that your research is valid and reliable? So there are various tests you can imply to make sure that your research process is entirely valid and reliable. And how do you propose future research directions for the future researchers? Let's say you did your project on a cross-sectional study design. So probably the limitation is that this research project could have been performed on a longitudinal research design. So probably that's an indication for a future researcher to explore the same area of study that you have explored on a different research design basis. And then finally, how do you do effective referencing? So these are various components, significant components that are part of a research project. Let it be for a PhD or at any levels. So I intend to break them into these small components, and I intend to provide videos which would be very simple and clear. And I have also decided to give out an email ID which is stated below in this video. It is called knowledgedisruption@gmail.com. So any doubts, any clarifications you have in relation to your research project, you can email it to me. But I don't want to guarantee you that I will respond to you within 24 hours. I'm also a little busy professional, and I'm also learning at various universities currently. But I have decided to spend at least half a day every single week on dedicating my time onto this email. So any learners, because currently at my educational establishment, we have a lot of distance learners. They're based in Maldives, Middle East, even America. So they tend to always email me their clarification. So I decided I keep on moving. If I move on to different organizations, I want to have a committed email. So if learners have any clarification with regard to their studies, they can approach me through that email, and I will respond at least within 72 hours. Before I conclude, I want to highlight certain issues which was quite bugging me lately. I often see people sharing a lot of baseless philosophies on the digital media platform. Let's not make these platforms as gossip platforms. Let's promote innovation, let's promote invention, let's share intelligent ideas, because these are the things that are going to ultimately affect the growth of the nation. Why I'm saying is that when you share something on the digital platform, obviously it's going to impact a lot of lives. So let's be very wise what we share. Let's critically evaluate something before we share it, so that we don't do any harm to anyone. Now look at these developed nations. Like if you look at the Indian CEO, the Google CEO Sundar Pichai, he's recognized as one of the most top highly paid CEOs in America. So this is the amount of prominence these developed countries are putting onto these knowledge workers. So it's high time we also realize the importance of these knowledge management. One other issue that's been, kind of disturbing me, which I want to point out here, is that I see a lot of my friends, families who are settled and successful in these comfortable territories. What I mean as comfortable territories, my friends and families who are residing in, let's say, America, United Kingdom, Australia, wherever in the first world nations, whenever they visit Sri Lanka or they travel with me to India, they try to engage in charity projects, like they try to provide food, they try to sponsor a child's education. But compared to all these, the best contribution you can do to the underprivileged communities is that you bring your intelligence, you bring your capabilities, the years of experience that you have gained working in top-notch corporates in these developed nations, you bring that here and you try to establish a business venture. These things, though they cannot be measured, these are the real input that transform a nation's growth. So including myself, I'm trying to do that. So if we are in a comfortable position in comfortable nations, let's try to bring our intelligence capabilities back to the home country, not necessarily home country, to the underprivileged communities. It doesn't necessarily have to be a home country. So as I always conclude in my videos, let's spread love as much as possible. Let's question bullshit and idioticity, and let's promote a culture of intelligence. Thank you very, very much for watching this video, and this is entirely free advice. Please take it if you like it. If not, please share it with someone else so that they would benefit from this. Thank you very much once again, and limitless love to all. Thank you.